Alright, new little project that we're going to be doing, and so this is a Continental Z129 gas engine, usually seen in Massey TO20s, things like that. Wet sleeve gas motor. You don't see that all that often. And wet sleeve meaning you buy a sleeve, piston's already in it, and O-rings, and then you just drop them into place and go on your merry way. But this one, normally you can do a nice easy in frame, but this motor was brought to me because the guy wanted me to go through it and do it. And you know what? I'm glad he's doing that, because this is an issue I've seen before, where you'll put your straight edge across it and everything's good. You're going to put your feeler gauge and you're going to do that whole thing, but everything's good. No problems. One thing that made me concerned was I put it here, and if I wiggle here, if you're in high def, you can probably see that. You can see it separating a little bit. We've got a whole bunch of warpage going on in this block. And so with this, I can go and check the height for a deck. And here it's 0, there it's 0, -2, -2, -5. In between here, 0, 0, -5, 0, -1, -5. So the block is like this as well as like this, because it's 0 all the way to the middle, and then here it's -3, -5. So we've got two things going on in this block. We've got it doing this, and we've got it going like this. So normally you could just, deck it and then done. No, these are wet sleeves. So we're going to have to do something else here, where this lip has to be perfect in relation here. So we're going to be decking this first, and then we're going to have to take our boring bar and cut this deeper. So here we got our first skin cut. And you can see we got a pretty good cut all the way around here. And then nothing in the middle, obviously. We have a long way to go until we get there. But what I can see is just a lot of imperfections in on the deck surface. So it's not just a warp issue, it's also a coolant issue of it could leak past the head gasket because you're not going to get a good seal. So there's the first pass. Here we go. This is pass number 2. We're at a depth of 25 ten thousandths. So it started to cut here and here. Here we've got a good cut, but nowhere close to touching anything in the middle. And then here we got pretty well to the end, but just, yeah, this surface is messed up. Pass number 3 done at 4,000th depth. Still got a long ways to go. Still haven't even cleaned up the pitting on this end. Still haven't even touched in here yet. Finally got some cut over here. That's nowhere close. We're finally getting a couple little chips on that spot. In between the cylinders, we're finally getting some cuts there. That's a 6,000th depth. Well, this is the 10,000th pass, and I think I'm going to stop here. I don't want to go too much deeper, because, I mean, this is just cosmetic. And, well, in all reality, that doesn't need to be perfect, so we can just leave that, because this is a wet sleeve. So we're just gonna let this be, and yeah, it's just cosmetic, so no worries there at all, and it's gonna seal just fine. So it was just really warped and messed up, so now everything's flat and it's a good platform to start new. So the next step is we need to make sure that our depth here, since we took 10 thousandths off the deck, we have to drop the bore for this flange down a little bit. So what I did is I've got my tool set up outside of where it needs to be, so on the deck surface, and it is indicated to the middle of the bore. And so I've got my feeler gauge, and I'm gonna go down, sorry, I'm gonna do this one-handed until it doesn't move very well. It's a little stiff, and then there is my 0. So here I can go up, so then I'm gonna go to my 0, and then since this is a 5 thousandths feeler gauge, now I will go down 5 thousandths, and then I'm gonna 0 it. So then that's gonna be on top of the block. So the thickness of this flange is exactly 0.247, which I'm sure 250 is what they're going for, but since we have the ability, we're gonna go precisely 0.247. And yeah, so we've got our boring tool set in for the correct diameter of this flange right here. And so it's got just a little scraping going on, so now we're gonna lower it. So I'm gonna go 248, we'll go there. And that should be generally what we want. And so why did we do this instead of just putting the sleeves in there and then decking it? We want to make sure that if someone does an in-frame later on, that they don't have an absolute headache trying to figure out what idiot machinist did this before them. So now I know that the next person who works on this, which probably won't happen because this tractor is getting pretty old and some grandchild's going to throw it away, they're not going to hate me. So there we go. We've got a nice brand new flange on the bottom there, and this sleeve is going to fit in perfectly. So I figured I would do a install of one sleeve just to make sure everything is good, and yep, everything's good. And then a little trick is there's O-rings that seal on the bottom, so I just put a little grease on that and then grease the board at the bottom, and then they slide in. They just pop right in. And then also, for future reference for you guys, there is, at least on this engine, an option for oversized sleeves of 5 thousandths. So if they're all wobbled out and or rusted and you don't get a good seal anymore, it is possible to bore these out bigger. So that's just an option for you on this motor in particular. So yeah, there you go. That's how to deck a wet sleeved engine, and in this case a Z129 by Continental. This is going to be the same for John Deere motors, Cat motors, all sorts of motors that have a wet sleeve in it. It's done the same way. So yeah, we can feel here it's got a good surface, it's flat, and we're not going to have an issue with head gasket or anything. I think that turned out all right. Well, I just want to say thanks for watching, and yeah, if you got questions, go ahead and comment. If you got, just keep an eye out for other useful tips. See you next time.